Hello, I'm Kylie, and this is one of my first ever musical circus video. I made a AMV for the musical circus, but that's not really important. So, I watched the musical circus final act in the theaters. I'm not going to say anything about it until it's premiered on YouTube, and then I'm going to make a video about that. But in the meantime, I want to make a spoiler-free analysis of Jax. There's been a lot of those. There's a lot of different videos breaking down, Jax, who he is, what his behavior is like, what it represents, what he represents, and, a bunch of other stuff about him. Honestly, from what I see on YouTube, he is the most, talked about, basically. He is a very complex character. We obviously know he is very arrogant, he is very much a jerk, he is, he's a mean, he's a bully, he, always has that infuriating, spark on his face. But he's actually my favorite character. I don't know why. I think he's really cool to me. But there's one thing that always bothers me. And I'm sure somewhere on either YouTube or some type of other platform they talked about this. But I want to talk about the fact that Jax is called a jerk, which is obvious. It is true. That is accurate. But a lot of people, at least on YouTube, I can't say for people off YouTube that don't see this, or maybe do, I don't know, that he is actually very abusive. There's a difference between just being a jerk and it being abusive. Yeah, he insults everyone. He, annoys them just for fun, right? But he also physically hurts many of the characters. He doesn't really bother Kinger all that much, but in every single episode, except for episode 7, 8, and 9. Well, technically 9, but like I said, I'm not really talking about that. He has in some way abused someone physically, not just emotionally, no. In episode 1, for example, he threw a bowling ball at Kinger and Gangle, and technically that would be physical harm, but there's worse ones. In episode 2, he literally threw Pommy out of a freaking truck, a moving one too, so that's abuse as well. And episode 3, he breaks Gangle's mask, which he does all the time, which is also physical abuse. And I would understand if some people were like, technically it's not physical abuse, it's property destruction or vandalism or something. Yes, because it is a mask, right? But it is still her. It's not a mask that she's willing to take off because she doesn't want to be sad. She doesn't want to be forced to be sad. So that's why it's physical abuse, because it is an unwilling piece of her that Jax is forcing to be present. If it weren't for Jax, she'll be able to keep her happy mask unless she accidentally drops it or something. But no, he wants her to feel miserable, so he breaks it. In episode 4, he throws Ragatha in a deep fryer. That's just pain. That's just straight pain. You know what I mean? Like, that would hurt. In episode 5... Oh, yeah. In episode 5, he pretends to cannibalize Gangle, shooting her and literally pretending to eat her. In that situation, she was a rhinoceros, but it was still her, and she was fully aware that he was doing that. Episode 6, he started, killing everyone, which in that case makes sense, because that was part of the adventure, so that I wouldn't necessarily count. But at the end, he even explicitly admits that he sees everyone as toys, as playthings. A lot of people say it's a cover, it's a facade, but he still said it. He still said that. In episode 7, in the beach episode, he doesn't harm anyone because of his mental state, and he's done. He's really done. So he doesn't really hurt anyone in that episode. But Zubul has a whole, short rant about it. Listing off some things, just some of the things that he has done to Gangle and Zubul. So yeah. I understand why people say he's a jerk, because that's true. But not a lot of people, either know, realize or acknowledge that he's not just a jerk. He is hella abusive, and he doesn't care, or at least generally. And it's worse, too, because for everyone doesn't try to stop him, usually. The worst thing that happened to him as a consequence was getting tied up in episode 3. Other than that, maybe getting scolded or berated about it. But that's not going to stop him, No one even tries to stop his actions. And I think it's because in the circus, it's supposed to be obviously not realistic. The way they move or do things is exaggerated or inhuman, right? Because they can't do a lot of things that they're able to do in the circus in real life. So I think they're kind of since that is a thing, it's gonna be really hard to stop him when he has, like everyone else, has inhuman abilities. So he could be really strong for his figure. He's very scrawny, kinda. His arms are very, very skinny. He's he is skinny in general, but he is super strong. And that is the case for everyone. Just not all of them really want to test that, I think is what it is. He also thinks that because they're in the circus and there's no actual authority and there's no police or actual rules other than the censoring thing, so he's I can do whatever I want, which technically he's not wrong, but I think his excuse for doing it, other than it's fun or it's funny to me, is that in the circus, you can't die unless you can abstracting. Abstracting is the closest thing to death. So even if he really hurts someone, they can just respawn or magically get healed. And it is, I don't know if it's confirmed or it's just a theory that they can't feel pain or pain is reduced in the circus. So if, they get hurt, it might hurt, but not as much as it would in real life. So that's his excuse. He is using the circus's logic, which isn't obviously regular logic, as a cover for what he's doing is okay. Which is, it's not okay. They could still, feel it, or they're at least aware of what he's doing. So, it is still really physically abusive. The other thing is, he can't, like, even if he was, you know, to be stopped, or at least to, like, warn him, hey, if you keep doing this, you will get a consequence, right? They even if they would, they can't get rid of him, because, you know, since the circus is their home and they can't get out, Jax is stuck there too, right? So it's like living with your abuser, living with the person that harms you every day for fun. And sadly, that is a case for a lot of people, or was. And it feels like there's obviously no way out of the circus, but there's also no way out of his behavior and how he treats them. So it's a double. Like, not only are they, you know, scared and anxious about getting out of the circus, but it's just adding up to that worrying that they can't escape him either. So that's why it's such a scary thing for Gangle, really specifically, because that's his favorite target. Because even if she could, you know, stop him, like to push him away or something, she can't fully make him leave. So that's scary. And also, here's the other thing. He may not be able to permanently physically harm someone, but when he does that, he mentally slowly breaks them. It's still mental trauma, and mental trauma can't really go away, or at least 100%. Even with help, it's nearly impossible to get, like, rid of that trauma 100%. I should know. I've been through some stuff. And I'm sure most of all of you have been through something like that. Where it's like, even though you got help, you can't really just get rid of it, even with time. Because people say time heals all wounds. But is there even time anymore in the circus? You don't know what year it is. You don't know what day of the week it is, unless somehow King had a calendar or something somewhere. They don't know what time it is in any sense. So how can time heal wounds if there's not any stable time? If that makes sense. So it's still psychological abuse too. Like, it can't all go away. And that is why I get a little irritated when people just describe him as a jerk or annoying. Because he's obviously much more than that in the way he treats everybody. He sees everyone as toys or, playthings for his own personal gain. In episode 9, there will be a lot more of that to understand and break down and, kind of maybe figure out what started it all. So I made this video as a quick review of what Jax is. It's actually interesting too. This has obviously been talked about. I've actually watched a couple of videos about it, that Jax is a rabbit in the overalls. So at first sight, either you might think, oh, he's a good guy, or maybe with that smirk, you might be, oh, he's just giving me a pain in the ass. But I would assume you wouldn't know how bad he would be unless he started talking to you and started interacting with you. And it's like switching the role of what a rabbit is. Obviously, he's a human, so it's a little different. But rabbits are at the bottom of the food chain, And technically, rabbits are prey. But he switched that role and made himself the predator of the group. Which isn't good at all. And it actually sort of reminds me of a little bit of a Hazbin Hotel thing. Angel and Valentino's situation. Angel is like a spider demon. Valentino is a moth demon. Usually, moths get caught in a spider's web. Usually, moths are prey. But Valentino switched that role into him being the predator, and, the spider, or angel dust, into the prey. It's actually a very common thing. Not in actual nature, at least I don't think so, but it's like an unexpected situation. You would assume that someone that looks a certain way would be in a certain, position in whatever situation they're in, but it could be the complete opposite. You never know until you actually interact with that person or, whatever. So they don't always know what he's going to do. They know that at any point in time, he could, hurt them in some way. But they don't exactly know what, because of how wacky and, crazy the place is. He doesn't know, they don't exactly know everything he's capable of. He has hinted many times he has keys to every room and place in the circus, and we learned that they can conjure things. So it may make it even more terrifying knowing that Jax and the others could conjure whatever he uses to harm them. So he doesn't have to just look for it, whatever thing he's gonna use, or ask Kane for something. No, he can just think about it and conjure up whatever thing he's gonna use to make someone else's, life a living nightmare. There's endless possibilities. It's supposed to be there's endless possibilities and there's so much to do, whatever. But he uses that fact as an advantage to hurt others. He does it because it's fun to him. He does it because he's bored. He does it because, he does it to keep them away so that they don't want to get close to him. And he doesn't want them to abstract and then, have to actually mourn them or feel sad about it. He also feels like being hated will help him keep himself sane and to make sure he doesn't break down every time someone else abstracts. So there's multiple reasons. There's the top of the surface is it's funny, or because I'm bored. But then a little lower, it's because I don't want to get close to anybody. Then a little lower, it's because I lost someone I loved. And even deeper down that surface is because I don't want to feel sad about losing another person that's really important to me and show vulnerability. So it's just a couple stages of why he's doing what he's doing. And he hates showing vulnerability, any sort of weakness, which weakness is good, a lot of the time, not all the time, right? But everyone has weaknesses, everyone has flaws, everyone has moments where they lose their composure, and it's okay. It happens. I do that sometimes. But it doesn't have to be a whole thing. And even if he doesn't want them to get close to him, that doesn't mean he has to hurt them about it. He could literally just be like, I don't want to be, friends with you, respectively. I don't want to hang out with you. But no, he decides that the only way to actually keep them away is to harm them or put them in harm's way. Jax is a very complex character. He is it's a much deeper character than just he's a bully or he's mean, right? And that's with most characters. There's more than just whatever main personality they show. on the surface. But anyway, that's all I have for today. But I will be making, like I said, I'll be making an episode 9 video of Jax and like an analysis once it's premiered on YouTube, so there's no spoilers. Everyone have a good day, night, whatever time it is for you when you watch this. And I will see you guys soon. And like I said, my name is Kylie, or Cayenne, you call me that too. And I will see you guys another time. Bye!